So, A Man Called Otto was directed by Mark Forrester, and it stars Tom Hanks as a grumpy old man named, well, Otto. And in this movie, Otto is a man who is upset about everything. He's upset about life. He's upset that he has to retire from his job. He hates everyone around him. He thinks everyone is an idiot. And when a new family moves in across the street from him, they intrude on his life, intrude on his plans, and they kind of form a bond that he never expected. So the trailers for this movie didn't look too bad. The movie itself looked all right. I didn't really think too much about it. Tom Hanks is obviously a great actor. I like a lot of his movies. And Mark Forrester has directed some pretty good movies in his career, particularly Finding Neverland, for instance, this is also from the writer of Finding Neverland, David Magee. And also, it's based off a movie from Sweden, I believe, called A Man Called Ove. I don't know. But I haven't seen that movie, so I kind of went in open-minded, not knowing what this movie was about. And so, this movie to me, I didn't love it personally. It's not that it's awful by any means. It's just so tonally inconsistent that I kind of had a hard time trying to enjoy it. So, what works in this movie? Well, the acting for the most part is pretty good. Tom Hanks gives a really good performance in this movie. I would say it's his best performance in a while. Like, it's probably his best since when he was Mr. Rogers. But like his last few movies, like Elvis and Pinocchio, he wasn't very good in them. But he was really good in here. I believed him as this grump who, as as this like really grumpy guy who, there's definitely a lot of layers to his character, and I think he does a really good job. Mariana Trevino, I think she did a really good job, and I think she actually did a better job than Tom Hanks. I think she was really good. She was sassy. She was funny. I thought she was a really good. I would like to see more opportunities for her in the near future. Also, Truman Hanks, who is obviously the son of Tom Hanks, he plays a younger version of his character, and I thought he did a decent job too. And I do like something that this movie does talk about, and it talks about the role of caretakers. It talks about how caretakers, find themselves sacrificing their lives, and how when they care for someone, it really takes a lot on them. It strains people both physically and emotionally, and it shows like what they go through and kind of makes them more human. I feel like that's not really appreciated. And I do think when it is funny, sometimes when it is funny, it does work like towards the beginning. And I do think there are a lot of really good setups in this movie, like the opening scene where he's arguing with a cashier. I thought that was pretty funny. There are a lot of funny scenes that do work, and it is a very nice and sentimental movie, and it does work. The drama does work throughout this movie. What doesn't work in this movie is when the drama is followed up by a joke, because this movie does go into some pretty dark territory, and I'm honestly surprised that so many people have seen this movie and are just kind of okay with, the dark subject material in this movie. Yeah, it gets pretty dark, but a lot of times when they go into that kind of territory, it kind of follows up with a joke, and it just felt disingenuous at times, where I'm like, I feel scared, I feel sorry for this person, I feel like I should really care, but then they kind of follow up with a joke, and I'm like, oh, really? That's what you do? Are you a Marvel movie now? And it just felt like it kind of made me feel like the director really didn't, believe that the audience could really go into that territory and, kind of talk about those things and kind of, make people realize, hey, people do feel this way. And I'm honestly surprised that a lot of times when these scenes do happen, it's like, it was kind of brought up, they kind of throw in jokes to kind of lighten up the mood, and it just kind of didn't work because it was just so sudden to me. And also, the movie becomes way too convoluted by the end. There was a subplot in this movie that, honestly, it doesn't come out of nowhere per se, but the way it's handled, it's so ridiculous. It's about the housing that everyone in this movie lives in, and it's all just extremely convoluted, and by the end, I'm just like, this could have been cut out from this movie entirely, and I think it would have been better because of it. And also, I felt like this movie had multiple endings. There's, several endings in this movie that it feels like there's a lot of times where it's like, okay, this movie could have ended, but no, it continued. Like, oh, this is a sweet ending. Oh, okay, you're going on to another scene. Oh, well, this is a sweet ending, too. Oh, okay, you're still going. Oh, this is another sweet ending. Oh, okay, you're still going. And then it finally does end. And I'm like, this movie, it felt like they had 4 different endings and they didn't know which one to take. So again, I haven't seen the original, so I don't know how close this is to the original movie, but it just kind of felt like you didn't know which one. It's like, choose your own ending. So A Man Called Otto, to me, when it's being dramatic, it works. when it's being funny, it's kind of iffy. I didn't really appreciate the jokes after a lot of the really dark and serious scenes, and I guess I didn't really appreciate some of the convoluted plots. And I do think the acting is pretty good, and I do like what this movie does talk about, and I do think it is an important movie to watch. But at the same time, I feel like it could have been better. I feel like it could have, if it tried to lighten up on the comedy a bit, or kind of make the comedy at least funnier, then maybe I would enjoy this a lot more, and I feel like it would be a more impactful movie for it. As it is, it's a movie that's, to me, it's a little, I don't want to say tone deaf, but just more misguided. Like, you had an idea, and it's a noble effort, but maybe if there was like, if it was just like a little bit, again, if you just didn't do those jokes after those very serious moments, I feel like it would have been more impactful. So I'll give A Man Called Otto 2.5 out of 4 stars. Stream it. So, what's your favorite movie starring Tom Hanks? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat. Stay safe.